Hi, my name is Katie McGrath, and I'm in my second semester in the teaching program. I'm currently at Velasquez Elementary in Lamar CISD. I am in a third grade classroom, and I am in an ELA classroom where we also teach social studies. However, right now, due to it being second semester, I'm in math and science. And with that, I want to, when I have my own classroom, I want to teach either second or third grade math and science. So I was able to set up with my coordinator being able to see the math and science side of a classroom. So I was really fortunate that my switch teacher was able to allow me to come in and work with her for a little bit before she goes on maternity leave. Sadly, my experience with having a second language is really small. The only exposure I really have to having any sort of second language is when I was in high school and we were told that we had to take a second language. So my only experience is back in high school for 2 years. My first 2 years actually was taking Spanish. But even then, I mean, both of my teachers didn't really seem to care, and I didn't really get much out of it. However, I do feel like there have been multiple moments in my life that I do feel like I should have learned more Spanish or more of a second language. And I do feel like there's been opportunities in my life that it really would have benefited me. One in particular happened this past summer where I had a woman and her daughter come to my pool where I was lifeguarding at, and we had to close down the pool due to weather. It was thundering and lightning really bad outside. And not only do people have to leave, like get out of the pool, but they also have to leave the pool area as a whole. We have to close the gates and everything else for people's protection. And the mom and daughter understood that they had to get out of the pool, but they didn't understand that they had to completely leave the pool area. And sadly, the only way that we could really communicate this information to them was by using Google Translate. And so we were able to go back and forth and explain this information to them, and they were able to tell us that they understood. However, the wife's husband is the one that dropped them off and was on his way to come and get them. Well, I didn't want them standing out in the rain and thunder and lightning, so I allowed them to stay in by the gate until he arrived. But that's a situation where I feel as though if I knew some basic Spanish or just, enough to hold a conversation with her to explain the situation, I could have allowed for her and her daughter to feel more comfortable being at the pool and being in that situation with us, just to be able to help them out. And then there's just been random other things too. And then being in the school that I'm at too, I've got multiple students who are ELLs, and then I have one student in particular that at home they speak mostly Spanish, and then when he comes to school, there are times that he doesn't know the English way to say a certain word, and so he'll say it in Spanish. And so due to him, I've learned how to say certain words in Spanish, or he'll say something and I'll understand what he means by it. And then there's still some times that he won't know the way to say it in English or Spanish. And so he'll go and point to it, or he'll find a way to describe it to me. But sometimes the description is in Spanish. And so I have to find a way to decode it from him as to what it is that he's referring to or needing from me in order for me to help him in the classroom. So I feel like being able to find a way to expand my second language would be a way that I can help my students. And then especially once I have my own classroom, I can help my students in my own classroom when I don't have another teacher there that can kind of, we can bounce back and forth on. As far as traveling, I've traveled to multiple places in the United States. I was born in Indiana. I've traveled to Ohio and Tennessee. I've been outside of the United States. I've been to the Bahamas. I've been to Malaysia. My dad was actually working there for a few years due to the fact that he works in oil and gas. So I actually got to visit there for about a week, which was really cool, honestly. It it was really good to see how another culture, acts and the way that they live and everything else about a whole nother culture. So that was really interesting and really neat to be able to do and see. I wish I had been able to stay there longer, but I really hope that once I graduate and once my fiance graduates, that we will be able to then teach internationally. We actually have a family friend that does teach internationally, so we're hoping to get in contact with her once my fiance graduates and once we get married. And we're really hoping to teach internationally and be able to expand that part of us and be able to not only spread the joy of teaching, but then expand ourselves into other cultures as well. So that's a little bit about me.